Welcome to Football Game Plan's Power Rankings. I'm Emery Hunt, the czar of the playbook. It's week 5 in the NFL, week 6 in college football, and we're going to start the show off this time with more of our favorite stock up, stock down. Let's start in college football, and UTSA running back Sincere McCormick's stock is definitely up as he enters week 6 as the nation's top rusher with 527 yards. The Roadrunners offense is a dynamic one, and a lot of it goes through their sensational sophomore tailback. The stock is down for the Charlotte 49ers and how they handled the last few minutes of their game against FAU. It was clock management that didn't give them a shot to pull off the upset, so let's see if they're able to play much better situationally down the stretch. Now the stock is up for Boston College linebacker Isaiah McDuffie, who leads the nation in solo tackles with 21. I've been impressed with the Eagles' defense this season, and McDuffie has proven to be one of the better defenders on the unit. Stock is down for Navy after their 40-7 drubbing to the Air Force Academy. What made that loss so puzzling was that it was Air Force's first game of the season, and they looked like the team entering their third game of the year. Navy also has to get much better overall defensively. Now, one of the few bright spots for Florida State is their cornerback, Asante Samuel Jr., who leads the nation in picks with 3. Every time you watch a Noles game, Samuel always ends up with the ball in his hands. East Carolina's defense really has to get it turned around quickly. They are giving up 50 points a game and nearly 600 yards of total offense per game. That's not going to get it done at all. Now, who has been getting it done is the BYU Cougars and their star quarterback, Zach Wilson. With the way Wilson has played so far this season, I think he has put himself squarely in the Heisman Trophy race. Now, if you're playing running back and then playing Ole Miss, you too can put yourself firmly in the Heisman race, as the Rebels have the second worst run defense in college football, giving up 302 yards per game on the ground in just 2 games. It's safe to say that it won't be all hotty-toddy too long in Oxford if that continues to be the case. And the stock is high for Georgia quarterback Stetson Bennett IV. He's playing really good football, gaining confidence every week, and has this Georgia offense looking legit. They have a big-time matchup this weekend against Tennessee. Now let's take a look at some NFL stock up, stock down. The Carolina Panthers offensive stock is starting to soar after their win over the Arizona Cardinals. The Panthers are doing a great job of being multiple, and quarterback Teddy Bridgewater is playing some of the best ball of his career. Who isn't playing so hot right now? Kyler Murray. And to be honest, outside of the 49ers game to open the season, Murray's passing has been a bit erratic to say the least. They really need him to kick it up a notch moving forward. And despite the team's record, Dak Prescott is playing some outstanding football. It has been a joy to watch him make some of the throws that he's making out there on the field. He's doing his best job to keep the team in games each and every week. And the Falcons' defense is doing their best job to keep the team out of games every week. Granted, they've suffered some injuries on the back end, but this defense doesn't look good at all so far this season. Quietly, the Philadelphia Eagles lead the NFL in sacks with 17 total. Despite what the injury report says every week, the Eagles have been able to consistently find their way to the QB. Matt Patricia's stock is definitely down, and it has been since taking over this Detroit Lions team. Throughout the roster, there's talent, enough of it in my opinion, to not have a 10-35 record during the time in the Motor City. Minnesota's running back Dalvin Cook is leading the league in rushing with 424 yards. He's been a consistent presence for that Vikings offense so far this season, helping them get their first win of the year against the hapless Houston Texans. Matt Nagy made the move to Nick Foles in the Falcons game last week, and it provided a huge spark, the spark that was needed to win that game. However, this past Sunday, Foles looked just like Trubisky against the Indianapolis Colts. Now, Nagy has to get things figured out at the most important position. And it looks like the Chargers have things figured out at quarterback with the way Justin Herbert has played since stepping in for Tyrod Taylor. Herbert made some ridiculous throws last week against the Bucks, and the future looks bright, maybe as bright as those uniforms out there in Los Angeles. And there's not much you can say about the Jets offense and head coach Adam Gase other than their stock is definitely down. Gase may be in danger of losing his job as the head coach of Gang Green. Now that we're in week 6 of the college football season, it's a good time to unveil our top 15 power rankings for college football. I have the Marshall Thundering Herd at number 15. Grant Wells, their freshman quarterback, and running back Brendan Knox lead an offense that's well balanced and does a good job of generating chunk plays. Marshall is also playing really good defense, only giving up 3.5 points per game. Now, with all of the chaos surrounding that Virginia Tech program with COVID-19, the Hokies had their issues in getting a good number of healthy bodies to get out there and play. What makes their 2-0 start to the season that much more impressive is because of that. So expect them to get significantly better as the season rolls along. SMU can score and score, and they can score some more. Their offense is one of the best in the country, and we'll see if that can still be the case without star wide receiver Reggie Robinson, who tore his ACL last weekend. The Louisiana Raging Cajuns have gotten off to their best start since 1988 and have a huge challenge this weekend against the Coastal Carolina team, who is also off to an impressive 3-1 start to the season. So we'll see if the week off benefits the Cajuns and their offense that has sputtered coming out of the gate early in games. North Carolina's offense seems to sputter at times during games, but I think it's been a Tar Heels defense that has been the biggest story for me. They've done a really good job in getting off the field and making plays on both ends of defense. Oklahoma State has a star running back in Chuba Hubbard and a defense that is playing some really good football. And looking around the Big 12, the Pokes may have what it takes to win the conference outright this season. I really like the Cincinnati Bearcats and how they're playing this year. The way they handled that potent triple option attack of our Army was the best anyone has done that I've seen in the last 3 seasons. Quarterback Desmond Ridder has his offense trucking in the right direction. Run game and defense will still win you games, especially in the SEC, and that's what the Tennessee Volunteers have done so far in their 2-0 start. The run game is clicking, and quarterback Jaron Garantano has played efficient enough ball to help keep this offense on schedule. Now, Florida's offense looks to be one of the best in the country, with tight end Kyle Pitts putting himself in the Heisman Trophy conversation. If the Gators want to continue to climb, their defense will have to start to close out games a lot sooner moving forward. Now, don't look now, but the BYU Cougars offense is explosive, and their defense can beat you up in the trenches, and they match up well out on the perimeter. They've been one of the more well-rounded teams so far in college football. So has Notre Dame, who can really dominate opponents on both sides of the line of scrimmage. The Irish they have another big game this week against Florida State, who will be looking to pull off the upset. The Georgia Bulldogs look like bullies on the block in the SEC East behind Zamir White's running and safety Richard LeCounte's ability to take the ball away. Georgia steamrolling opponents on both sides of the ball this year. Miami's ability to run and play defense is very similar to that of Georgia, but where they differ is at quarterback, as D'Eriq King is a Heisman candidate and his play has the Canes eyeing a playoff berth. But standing in their way are the Clemson Tigers, who they faced this weekend. The Tigers are armed with the best quarterback in the country in Trevor Lawrence and a host of explosive weapons on the perimeter. Do they have a championship defense, though, is the biggest question. We know Alabama does, and they look to have a championship offense as well. It only took 2 games of the season for it to be clear that the Crimson Tide is the best team in college football this season. Be sure to order your copy of the Go-Go Offense by Coach Brennan Marion on footballgameplan.com/GoGoOffense. Coach Marion goes through the ins and outs of his explosive offense, one that's tearing up the college football field and putting a lot of points on the scoreboard. Again, you can order your copy at footballgameplan.com/GoGoOffense. And always a key part of the Power Ranking show is our NFL Power Rankings. This time, we're at Week 5, and we start with number 32. We spoke about the Jets earlier, and simply put, they have to get better everywhere within their organization. The Giants' offense has not scored over 20 points this season, which is unheard of in this era of offensive football. Once that happens for them, I believe they'll start to win some games. The Falcons will start winning games when they are able to play better defense. Until that happens, they'll find themselves having to make some tough decisions at the end of the year. Houston already made a tough decision to move on from head football coach Bill O'Brien, and we'll see if interim head coach Romeo Crennel can push the right buttons to help the Texans get back into the AFC South race. Gardner Minshew and the Jaguars have thrown their best punch, I believe, in Week 1's upset over the Colts. Since then, they've looked like the team that many expected them to be coming into 2020. Now, the Dolphins are a competitive bunch, and it hasn't translated into victories much on game day. They may be getting closer and closer to putting rookie Tua Tagovailoa into the starting lineup. Now, the Detroit Lions shouldn't be down this far in the rankings, but here they are. To move out of this spot, consistency is going to be needed, and that starts at the top with Matt Patricia. Washington has lost 3 games, and they've entered the must-win territory as the rest of the division is in shambles, and they can create an opportunity for themselves if they can get it together. Minnesota got it together last week against the Texans, getting their first win of the year, so let's see if they can stack back-to-back weeks like we saw from them in Houston. The Bengals got their first win of the season as well by beating the Jacksonville Jaguars. Their offense is going to be a problem once they all start to get on the same page, and it was also a great day for their defense as well. Denver got their first win on the road against the Jets with a gutsy performance by quarterback Brett Rypien in his first start, and a defense that kept the Jets looking like the Jets on Thursday night. Now, the Cowboys defense has to find a way to get better and get stops. Otherwise, it'll continue to be Shootout Sunday in Big D. I think Anthony Lynn has done a great job coaching this season. I know there are no moral victories, but his team is always prepared in the game and with a chance to win. So is Kyle Shanahan, who is making gourmet chicken salad out of you-know-what with the injuries that he's dealing with on both sides of the ball. If they had better quarterback play versus Philly, they would have gotten that win as well. Now, the Eagles QB Carson Wentz gutted out a solid performance against San Francisco late in the game, dropping a teardrop in the arms of wide receiver Travis Fulgham. So let's see if that's a sign of things to come offensively for Philadelphia. Chicago is 3-1 on the season, but it feels a lot worse. They have to stabilize the quarterback position in order to keep pace in the NFC North and the NFC playoff race as well. Arizona has cooled off a bit since their hot start to the year. We spoke earlier about Kyler Murray needing to play better, but so does their defense, who was shredded last week by Carolina. Now, the Raiders are another team that have cooled off a bit. They are starting to look a little bit out of whack right now, and I wonder if the defensive injuries are starting to affect them. The Browns are 3-1 and playing outstanding football. The run game is popping. Beckham is starting to do great things with the football in his hands, and Myles Garrett is off to an excellent start to the season. They are definitely in the playoff mix, for sure, in my opinion. New England's latest loss just showed them how valuable Cam Newton is to their football team, and I hope they're extending him right now as we speak, because without him, they are toast. The Saints came storming back in the Motor City, scoring 35 straight points to knock off the Lions. They look like the Saints of old last weekend, so let's see if that's the case moving forward. The Panthers look like this year's surprise team in the NFL as their offense is multiple, and in back-to-back weeks, their young defense looks much improved over what we saw from them in the first 2 games of the season.
Well, the game of football has taught me so many things, man. Now, think about the huddle we have right now, right? I tell people this all the time. There's a reason why they call it a huddle. You know, people have been huddling all their lives, trying to find ways to enhance each other's lives. The great teams do that all the time. The great teams do that. The better the huddle, the better the team. And so it's simple, man, how if you huddle for all the right reasons, we wouldn't have Ferguson. We wouldn't have some of the challenges that we have in our society. But as we all know, there's always a moment when somebody doesn't belong in the huddle. And yet we have to continue to move on. We got to continue to play. So the game of life, man, is always starting with the huddle. And for me, I'm lucky enough to know that, you know, by the graces of God, man, it's been a nice huddle. It's been a nice huddle. And if I just keep making sure that he's in front of me, I'm gonna be all right.
Indianapolis has bounced back nicely from their Week 1 loss to Jacksonville. The Colts defense is tremendous, and they are dominating the point of attack on offense, led by rookie running back Jonathan Taylor and their touchdown scoring machine tight end Mo Alley-Cox. With Pittsburgh and Tennessee not being able to play this weekend or last weekend because of an outbreak with the Titans, both teams still remain at 3-0 and are looking to get back to their winning ways once they hit the field again. Tennessee hopes that this week against Buffalo and not another postponement due to COVID-19. Now, Lamar Jackson had a good bounce-back game against Washington after his terrible performance against Kansas City. I wonder if their defense, though, is as good as we think it is, or is it an area where they will have to continue to get better as the season goes on. Now, the Rams have done a solid job of getting many players involved offensively this season, and their defense is getting better every week. I like what I'm seeing out there for Los Angeles. I also like what they're building down south in Tampa, as the Bucs offense seems to be firing on all cylinders. Now, there is still some work to do in the secondary, but the arrow is pointing up in the right direction. So is the arrow in Green Bay. The Packers offense gets so many people involved, and it doesn't matter who is in or out of the lineup, the next man up will always find a way to produce. Last week, that guy was Robert Tonyan, who scored 3 touchdowns versus Atlanta. Now, Josh Allen has his Bills believing and has begun to change the narrative surrounding him and the play of his starting his career. So it's been fun to watch him take control of that narrative and change it this season. Seattle, to me, is still playing the best ball of any team in the NFC, and Russell Wilson is still playing the best of any quarterback this season as well. And another week and another Kansas City Chiefs victory. Their defense found a way to take the ball away and score against New England. Again, their defense to me has been the biggest story of the reigning Super Bowl champs in 2020. So that's it for this week's edition of Football Game Plan's Power Rankings. I'm Emery Hunt, the czar of the playbook. Be sure to follow me on all of my social media accounts. And don't forget to check out and subscribe to the Football Game Plan Network located at youtube.com/footballgameplan. Also subscribe on iTunes to Football Game Plan Podcast and leave us a 5-star rating.